Welcome to the final audio of 2025. I wasn't going to record this, and then I woke up this morning and I had so many inspiring ideas come through that I know that you're going to love, and it's going to bring you so much value. So I'd be doing a disservice not to share this. And I know there are lots of you in this space. You love tapping into these audios. You come back to them again because you tell me about it. You message me and say, I listened to this audio, it was so good. And I wanted to come in and share some reflections from the year and some thoughts for 2026. Because yesterday I shared the final audios of 2025 with my students in the school spaces, and one of them was particularly potent. In this audio, I was sharing what it took me to go from starting from scratch in my business. So, for those of you who don't know, I started from scratch. Back in around 2021, I decided that the business that I'd had pre-quarantine was not something I wanted to continue, and I was going to start again. And I did specific things. I focused on specific things. I focused on certain education and certain daily practices. And that's what took me from zero to consistent 5K months as my baseline. So for a period of around 2 years, I was consistently making 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. And think in that period of time, I had one €9,000 cash month. And I did certain things to get to that point. And this is what I was sharing in this audio as well. It's like, what did I do to get to that place? And then at the beginning of this year of 2025, something shifted. I shifted what I was focusing on, I shifted my practices, and I shifted my identity work. And that's what got us to, and what got me to, my first ever 6-figure year. So there's certain things that I did at the beginning of 2025, and there's certain things I'm doing now as we're shifting into 2026. So we've now closed a certain number of contracts. That means that we're already close to a 6-figure year for next year. And so we're looking at what does it take us above and beyond. And the questions that I'm asking myself have completely changed. Where I'm placing my focus, the frequency of the questions, it isn't completely different from the beginning of 2025. And so I was sharing all of this in the audio. And so I want to bring some of that magic to you today. And it's actually the practice and the questions I'm asking myself as I close one cycle and I open a new one. And the thing is that these questions and these practices, they're not complex, and they're not going to be something that you've not done yourself. And my intention with sharing this with you is to bring you that sense of relief that it's not about the complex, for you to see that you're already doing so well, and for you to let go of the doubts in your mind that there's some magical formula that you don't yet know about, that you need to learn, that you've got to keep seeking that formula to be able to get to where you want to go. Because maybe you find every now and then these questions come into your mind. What is it I don't get yet? What is it I'm missing? What should I be doing I'm not doing? And my intention with this audio is that you let go of that. And you realize the simplicity of the practices, the simplicity of what it is you want to be coming back to. And before I even get into this, I'm going to drop a golden nugget for you, because the biggest thing that has got me to where I am and that's going to continue to get me to where I'm going, and there's a few things. One of them is I consistently listen out for the human parts of the people who have what I want. I'm going to explain that in different words. I don't put people on a pedestal. I see somebody who's achieved what I want to achieve, who's doing incredible things, and I take them off a pedestal. And I look for the moments when they wanted to give up. I listen for what they share around the times they found it hard, what they did to get them through, the things that they still doubt, the thoughts that what we would label as negative thoughts that still go through their minds, even though they're incredibly successful. I look for the humanness in them, and I see their humanity, because it's so easy. And we see this online, how people will attack others that are thriving, others that are putting themselves out there, people who are in the arena doing the work and serving others, and people are attacking them because you did this, you said that I didn't like, because you're not perfect in this way. And by doing that, what they're creating without knowing it is the need for them to be perfect, to be successful and happy, because that's not how it works. There's not some magic point when these people are perfect and they get nothing wrong and that's why they're where they're at. It's not how it works. So take everybody off a pedestal, see their humanity, and listen for the stories. Because this is a big part in the spaces that I'm in that have got to me where I am and where I'm going, is because I'm in spaces where I hear the stories. I pay for close proximity with very successful people because it's hearing how they think, how they move. It's being able to see behind the closed doors, being able to lift the veil, to understand what's really going on, to how they think and how they move and the things they do. This is a huge piece. You may think that it's irrelevant to invest in something like that. And it is literally what closes the gap, what helps you to realize what is actually required for you to get to where you want to go. And you're not going to find that in books and in watching free YouTube videos. Is when you get into the intimate spaces and the intimate conversations, you get to ask the intimate questions. It's the fast track. That wasn't actually what I was going to share today, but this is a huge piece. And secondly, one of the big reasons that people who are, maybe they've started out in a fitness career, or they are very fitness oriented, become very successful in business. You're going to see a lot of people who are very successful in business are also very into their fitness. A lot of the coaches that I follow are the same. A lot of people are Alex Hormozy, for example, and his wife, who are insanely successful, super into fitness. Tom Bilyeu and his wife, who went from poverty to being multi-millionaires, if not now billionaires. I'm not sure where they're at financially. Both very dedicated to fitness. And there's a reason to this. It's about getting in your reps. And I know you've heard me say this before. If you are not willing to do the repetitive exercises, the consistent minimum baseline activities of selling every single day, of getting super comfortable selling, of adopting the identity work on a daily basis, the identity you currently hold, if you're looking at a goal that you've not yet achieved, the identity you currently hold is not serving you to get to that place. The current belief systems and paradigms you have do not have space for what you want to bring in. You have to do the belief work. You have to do the identity work. You have to shift your paradigms for what you desire to be normal and logical for you. This is where the changes happen. Again, this wasn't what I was going to come in and share. So there's going to be a lot of value in here. I invite you to come back and listen to this multiple times. So I've not just done this on one day. There's been a process of building on these questions and these reflections. I've been slowing down as we come to the end of the year and giving more space to reflect. And also, there's been so many firsts for me this year. There have been so many firsts that have been a big deal. They've been a really big deal, like flying business class for the first time in my life, having my first ever six-figure year, having my biggest cash month multiple times. Yeah, so in July, by the 11th of July, I had my highest cash month ever. And then I went on holiday for 4 weeks and disconnected. And then I doubled that in October, I believe it was. I doubled what I made in July and October. And then we had our highest sales month ever at the beginning of the year, and then doubled that a few months later. So there are lots of firsts. And so as we come to the end of this year, for me, a big focus is slowing down and allowing that to land in my nervous system, allowing myself space to process all of these firsts, to normalize them, to understand what the what level of leadership is required of me as I go into next year. I'm tapping a lot into the support that I'm receiving. I'm allowing myself to be held as I process all of this that's happened in 2025. Because I know that 2026, because I'm choosing it, it's not by chance. I'm choosing that 2026 is going to be way bigger when it comes to all of the firsts. There are going to be a lot of firsts in 2026. And so a huge piece of this is nervous system regulation, inner safety, identity work, being held and supported as I navigate all of the things and all of the challenges that come with growth. Because again, we're not getting into the potency of what I had first intended to share with you today. As you grow, challenges are inevitable because you will be called to another level of leadership. You will be called to another level of nervous system capacity. And for you to stretch to that requires that you get comfortable with the uncomfortable, that you stretch yourself before you feel ready. And I know you will have heard this before. My intention is that it lands for you differently, that you're hearing it in the context of somebody who's telling you what it took me to get to my first six-figure year and what it's taking me for me to normalize it and duplicate that again and some. I'm not going to tell you what my big visions are and my big goals are for 2026. I'm going to go out and I'm going to do them. And I'm going to be bringing that to the school space, showing people what it takes, sharing the behind the scenes of what I do when shit hits the fan and it's really hard, what I do when I doubt myself, what I do when I feel I want to give up. Because there are moments, it doesn't matter where you're at in this journey, there are moments that stuff comes up for you. And it's not about it not coming up or avoiding it or avoiding failure or avoiding self-doubt. It's what do you do in those moments to lead yourself through it? What do you do in those moments to hold yourself as you're going through it, as it feels uncomfortable? Because for some of you, when you were at primary school and secondary school, you maybe went through growth spurts where you grew really fast. And if that's the case, you will be familiar with growing pains, with the pain in your bones of growing fast. For those of you who didn't go through big growth spurts, maybe you didn't experience that. This was a thing. At age 10, I was the height I am now. So I'm 174 centimeters. I was 174 at age 10. I went through a lot of growing pains, pains in my bones, pains in my joints, for me to get to the height I am now. And then posture. My posture was terrible because I grew so fast. And so then it required, as an adult, that I focus on my posture. And why am I sharing this with you? Because if you're choosing to grow fast, there will be growing pains. If you want to grow slowly, then there won't be those moments of discomfort. In fact, there potentially won't be a huge amount of growth. There'll be a repetition of what you already know and maybe a small increment of 5 to 10%. If what you want is way beyond that, trying not to avoid the growing pains is really important. Don't try and avoid failure. Don't try and avoid making mistakes. Put yourself out there before you feel ready. Do the things that scare you, like getting up on the stage whilst you're shaking. You're holding the microphone in your hand and you're trembling. And you tell the audience, I am pooping in my pants right now. I'm so scared to be up on this stage. And I know that I've got so much value to bring you right now. And so if I didn't do this, I would be doing you a disservice. Because people who grow fast, it's not because they feel comfortable before they do the thing. They're shaking and they're doing the thing. And they stretch into that through practice, going up on that stage again and again, going onto a podcast again and again, going live on Instagram again and again, whatever it may be that stretches your edges. You can't have big growth without big moves. You can't normalize something that's not yet normal for you without stretching yourself towards that. So the things I'm focusing on. I've been asking myself from multiple different angles, what was 2025 about for me? I look at all of the moments that I found really hard and I consider them from multiple angles. I ask myself quantum questions. I ask myself, what were the lessons here? What was my resistance? What were my fears? I look at them and I ask myself these questions from a place of non-judgment, with a desire to learn and grow. Like, what were my fears in those moments? What was holding me back? What was my resistance? What can I learn here? Where's the growth? Then I look at my wins. I look at my moments of courage. I look for reasons to be proud of myself. And if you're looking on 2025, you can't find reasons to be proud of yourself. That wants to be your focus in 2026. What are you going to do next year so that you have reasons to be proud of yourself? You have things to celebrate. You can have that feeling of being able to pat yourself on the back and go, I did that. I was scared and I did it. Courage is, and I know you've heard this, may these words land for you differently this time around. May they land for you in the level of your solar plexus, in your root chakra, in your heart. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Because when you do that and you look back in retrospect, you realize that that is what causes you to grow the most. I didn't get clear on what my big goals are for 2026. So I've already written some down. I know I will have more ideas come through. And it's things that excite me. They scare me as well because I know that it's going to stretch me. I know that it's going to require me to clean up stuff that I'm doing right now. That can't be taken into the level of goals that I'm focusing on. For me to take my company to where I'm choosing to take it, there's stuff I'm doing right now that I've got to clean up. I take full responsibility for it. So I invite you, when you're looking at your big goals, are you ready to take full responsibility of what's required of you to get there? There's going to be stuff you're currently doing that you're going to have to stop doing. There are going to be habits, moments when you take the easy path, you take the easy route, when you self-sabotage, when you go easy on yourself, when you make up excuses and reasons not to do the things, not to find the time, not to make the investments. It's in those moments when you choose to do things differently and you choose to take radical responsibility and you acknowledge, I can't carry this with me. If I'm choosing this new goal, I can't carry this with me. It's got to change. Are you willing to change that thing? Because those of us you see growing fast, we do not tolerate the self-sabotage. We don't tolerate nervous system dysregulation. We don't tolerate thinking small. We don't tolerate staying small. That's why we're growing fast. It's not some magical formula. It's we're doing things before we feel ready. And we're learning what it is as a beginner again and again until we feel comfortable and confident. And then we do another thing. And this is, I'm going to leave you with this one thing. I don't do these things because I have to. I do them because I choose to. It excites me to learn. Expansion and growth and novelty and variety. It excites me. It feels magical. And that feeling, again, is not by chance, it's through choice. I choose the perception and the perspective that it's incredible. And I choose it again and again. Anytime I go into lack, fear, and scarcity, I remind myself I'm learning, I'm expanding. So, what is it you will be focusing on? What are your big goals for 2026? I'd love to hear from you.